Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're putting on our detective hats and doing a full-blown forensic breakdown of a truly remarkable market call. We're going to map out the exact mechanics behind a highly accurate prediction made by analyst James Gaverty. If you've ever wondered how the pros actually read the tea leaves and spot those massive market moves before they even happen, well, you're absolutely in the right place. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Is it actually possible to perfectly time a stock market correction? We aren't talking about crystal balls or lucky guesses here. No gut feelings. Today, we are strictly analyzing pure data and chart mechanics. We're looking at how a structured, evidence-based approach can literally pinpoint massive shifts in market momentum long before they hit the mainstream radar.
Section 1. The perfect market call.
All right, let's bring in our primary piece of evidence. Take a look at this blown-up, full-screen view of James Gaverty's January 24th post. This right here is our ground zero. I want you to focus specifically on that highlighted text right in the middle, because that paragraph anchors our entire analysis today. This isn't some hindsight bias. This is a real-time, fully documented thesis.
And Gaverty, he doesn't bury the lead here at all. He kicks off his thesis with a super blunt, unambiguous statement. Quote, S&P 500 exhaustion. On the weekly charts. Boom. Right out of the gate, he's signaling that the market top is already in. He's letting his readers know that the upward momentum they've been riding has just completely run out of gas on a macro level.
Section 2. Anatomy of a prediction.
Now, what's really interesting here is how he uses the past to map the future. Gaverty doesn't just look at today's data in a vacuum, right? He directly compares his current setup to a prior period, specifically looking back at December 2024 into January and February of 2025. Back in December 2024, we saw a TD13 exhaustion signal, and that was followed by 9 weeks of just really choppy sideways action. Fast forward to his current setup. On October 29, 2025, he spots that exact same TD13 exhaustion signal, but followed this time by 10 weeks of weak, narrow new highs. The historical rhyme here is just almost perfectly in sync.
Moving on to Section 3, reading the exhaustion signs. To really grasp his level of confidence, we need to zero in on the specific technical jargon he relies on as clues on his evidence board. So what exactly is a TD13 exhaustion? Well, in technical analysis, it's a very specific chart signal indicating a market top where buyers are just entirely exhausted. There's literally no one left to push the price higher. Based on his post, Gaverty spotted this exact, rare signal back on October 29, 2025 and used it to definitively declare the market top. The buyers were simply done.
But he didn't just rely on one single metric. He also explicitly calls out major divergences. A divergence happens when indicators, stuff like stochastics, RSI, and the actual price action, when they just don't align. For example, the price might be creeping up a bit, but the underlying momentum indicators are actually falling. Because of these glaring divergences, Gaverty confidently stated that seasonality would rule. He told his audience flat out, do not expect any major new highs over the next 9 weeks. The underlying foundation was completely crumbling.
Section 4. The 10% correction.
So what does this all mean? All these exhaustion signs, all these glaring divergences, they were building up immense pressure, pointing toward one impending violent market move. And here is the massive takeaway metric, 10%. Gaverty wasn't calling for some mild pullback or a little dip. No way. He was calling for a serious double-digit drop. To use his exact words from the post, he said, how great it will be to finally get a nice 10% correction to buy again. He wasn't scared of the drop at all. He was actually anticipating it as a massive, lucrative opportunity.
And his conviction was totally locked in by looking at the daily charts. He noted a turning point coming in just 3 bars and even factored in cycles, like the next full moon on February 1st. But crucially, he observed major market components diverging violently. Specifically, the Mag 8 entering an oversold state while the SP 492 was in a buy setup. As he pointed out, because these two major components were pulling away from each other, it practically guaranteed a week of choppy sideways action before the bottom finally fell out.
All right, Section 5. Timing the buy point.
So the crucial point here isn't just predicting the 10% drop. It was about precisely timing exactly when to step back in and buy. This brings us to what might be the most important sentence in his entire update. Read this quote with me. The significance is we're looking at 9 weeks of selling pressure, a move down 9 to 13 weeks. Gaverty explained that the week of January 20th entered what he calls the green 1. That's the very first bar of a buy setup 9.
This specific trigger is what kicked off this prolonged period of calculated selling pressure. He literally gave his readers a countdown.
As you'll see, this timeline brilliantly illustrates the entire masterclass play. Let's map out how logically this flows. First, the definitive market top is identified way back on October 29, 2025, using that TD13 exhaustion signal. Then the week of January 20th triggers the green one, which starts the clock on the selling pressure. He drops his detailed prediction post on January 24th, telling everyone exactly what is happening. And finally, forecasting those 9 to 13 weeks of downward movement, he predicts the market will land perfectly into a seasonal buy point right in late March to early April. I mean, he mapped the whole ride, from the absolute top to the absolute bottom.
We've just seen how James Gavariti used pure structure, historical echoes, and incredible technical precision to completely nail a massive market move. Now, the question turns to you. What hidden exhaustion signs are currently lurking in your own charts? I challenge you to take this detective-level analysis and apply it to the data you're looking at every single day. Hunt for those divergences, look for those structural tops, and hey, don't just react to the market, anticipate it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy charting.